Mr. Cilliers, good afternoon and thank you very much for your time. I guess many people would say it was not surprising that President Matamela Ramaphosa would choose somebody very close to him to have that political responsibility over this important agency.
Yes, I think there's been quite a bit of discussion about the implications of this. I think, in essence, all that's happening previously, a deputy minister had the responsibility, which meant that the ultimate responsibility lay with the president, seeing that the deputy minister is not a member of cabinet. By bringing in Minister Gungubeles in, he's made a minister responsible for intelligence. It gives to a degree, places a little bit of a distance between the president and the State Security Agency. The situation hasn't changed from what it was a week ago. The intelligence was already reporting to the presidency. I know there's been a lot of discussion about whether this is good or bad, super presidency or not. I don't think it makes a tremendous amount of difference. What is, of course, the issue is what's going to happen with the State Security Agency, and can we be sure that the taps of illicit of money that has flowed to politics in South Africa has indeed been turned off.
How important is the fact that there has to be trust in whoever is heading up, has got the political responsibility directly of the agency?
There needs to be trust in the integrity of the individual, not political trust in his factional loyalty. There's a big difference. And I think that now when I make those words, I am primarily referring to the senior officials that head up the agency. Any president from whichever party will appoint a close confidant to head up the intelligence services because it can be used for nefarious purposes. But below that, the head of the department of the state security or of the internal and the external branches, they really need to be headed by people of unquestioned integrity, so that when there is a change in government or of the party in government, that in actual fact you do not question the integrity of that person. He or she must serve the president of the day. That's why many of us are so concerned about the policy of cadre deployment within the ANC and how that has affected government, because what it is the deployment are very often people of questioning competence who are only determined by their factional loyalty that are being served. And that is not how you run an intelligence service, and it is certainly not the way to run generally the civil service.
It's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. But if you look at the history of other cabinet ministers who were heading up state security in the recent past, they were very close to the sitting presidents, but there were questionable reputation around them. But for Mr. Gungubele, he seems to be clean so far, reputation-wise.
Yes, no, yeah. No, I don't know him. I've only looked at his CV. And he comes from a very different background, which he has to be careful. The intelligence guys have been running rings around much of South Africa for a long, long time. And we had a situation where, I mean, the Zondo Commission has even documented the extent to which the previous minister basically lied in a letter when it comes to the undertaking of security clearances, because one of the big problems with intelligence in South Africa, apart from the fact that it's been captured by the RAT faction, is the secrecy that surrounds everything around intelligence. Unnecessary secrecy. This came to bear both in the Zondo Commission report, but also in the Sydney Mufamari report. And then what they do is they abuse the requirement for security clearance to hound and to terrorize people that are not of a particular faction within the ANC. And this is something that needs to be watched. We have to make sure that intelligence only does what it is supposed to do and not serve as an instrument for politics.
Yeah, and that point might be concerning maybe for some people now, because this year the ANC is going to hold its national elective conference in December, and we know what has happened in the past, allegations that the intelligence services have been used by one faction against the other. So what would you advise if he came to you, Mondli Gungubele, and say, okay, what are the things that I must not do as I take over this responsibility in order not to tarnish my reputation and to make sure that I deliver and change the fortunes of the agency. I deliver better run, more trustworthy intelligence services? Well,
the first thing to acknowledge, and it's very important, is that we are again in the run-up to a national elective, the elective conference of the ANC. But the situation is different from 2017. 2017, we had literally a rogue president who abused taxpayers' money. Those taps have been turned off. So by all indications, and President Ramaphosa set an entirely different message in South Africa, even within the ANC. But the most important is to probably, we don't know where the restructuring or the structuring of the State Security Agency is. It's all in secret. There needs to be a degree of transparency on that. But perhaps the most important thing is to make sure that the slush funds, those taps are completely closed, and to make sure that the top people within intelligence are of the utter integrity. That they are not cadre deployments from a previous era or that serve a particular faction. So perhaps a review of the top structures and appointments within intelligence, and as I've said, particularly on issues around the vetting of people outside of the intelligence agency, which has been abused to a massive extent to hound people. And then we've got to make sure that the special units that were created under President Zuma have been closed down. The Special Operations Unit that is referred to in the Zondo Commission that seemed to have been operating well after Zuma had left office. So there's much more that needs to be done, and we can look at the recommendations from the Mufamari panel, which was scathing in its view of the State Security Agency.
Okay, thank you very much for your insights and your time this afternoon. Jakkie Cilliers from the Institute for Security Studies weighing in on the announcement that the Minister in the Presidency, Mondli Gungubele, is now the boss of the State Security Agency.